right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. Keep your views coming at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. We'd like to hear them. Hashtag Daybreak. It's all about the Sagana 3 aftermath and the several issues that came up there. One of them that came up before we talk about the president's track record, which he says is splendid. He says he's done more for this country than any other president. Let's start with the handshake part, Gerard Gay. And the president mentioned very well that he kept his deputy in the loop throughout. And at some point, his deputy told him, Kangumu. You're the one who's been talking about uniting the country. Is that a uniting statement when someone tells you to Kangumu? And even then, the fact that he spoke to him about it all through and said that at some point he refused, that he wasn't consulted.
You know, what I can say at this point in time, the deputy president has answered this question himself, even either in public rallies or in interviews with media stations, by indicating that the issue of handshake was being used to frustrate him, and all pointers had been done towards that direction. So, you know, the president, we take what the president says with a pinch of salt, because, you know, he's trying to attack the deputy president to support the ODM candidate. So we cannot trust what the president says, because he's saying it's out of convenience to try and show that the deputy president is dishonest, is not a unifying factor, simply because he wants to prop another candidate. If the president had said this immediately on the steps of Rambe Annex on 2018, we would have trusted him. But now he's telling us when he's campaigning for somebody else. And we know when you're in campaign, you can say anything. And the president the choice of saying such was trying to indicate that he has performed more, or he has performed, which in my own opinion has performed less as opposed to 2013, 2017. So the president and my brother here is saying he was not ranting. I don't know how, because we have known President Uhuru for some time, and having voted him for 3 times, I've never seen him. The only time the president was also ranting is when the Supreme Court nullified an election. And personally, I was in State House among other Jubilee leaders, and it is the same way he was behaving. So in a nutshell is that all this ranting that the president is doing, especially in Sagana, throwing out the microphone, throwing out the hands and everything, was done in a BS to try and demean, or in a way, not to demean, to portray Deputy President as dishonest. And therefore, the fact, you know, we can take with a pinch of salt by saying he used to inform the Deputy President, but the President did not come in 2018 and tell the country, you know, now we have shaken hands with Raila Odinga. My Deputy President William Ruto is aware. We discussed yesterday, and we have agreed as a Jubilee government that we shake hands with Raila Odinga for the sake. And then the president, you know, now, you know, the president, I wish, I wouldn't want to make, but let me then make this comment. I wish the president would have kept off politics, because now he's opening himself for political attacks. Because what am I saying so? Because in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, the president used to tell us the handshake was for the unity of the country and development. In 2022, he's saying the handshake was preparing the way for Raila Odinga to become the president of Kenya. So even the president himself is misleading us and misleading everybody, including himself, because before he told us handshake was not about succession politics. But in 2022, handshake is about succession politics and making Raila Odinga succeed him. So you can see there has been inconsistency with what, I don't want to say lies, but there has been inconsistent what the president is telling the country. And you know, this is the highest office in the land. And I wish the president would understand the pronouncements that he makes. He doesn't make as Uhuru Kenyatta. He makes it as a president of the Republic of Kenya. Yeah. So there has been inconsistency. We said it before. The way if you walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, then definitely is a duck. Okay. Yeah. Professor,
is the handshake all about succession politics from your view?
Trevor, I think Gerard Gay has missed the objectives of the handshake by a mile. And I say this because on the 9th of March 2018, when His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga shook hands, it was not about the two leaders. It was about the country, Kenya. It was to bring to an end the acrimony that we witnessed following the elections and the sharp division that occurred amongst communities. It was a realization that Kenya needed to move as one and towards defined goals that they defined within the handshake as the Big Four agenda. And I believe that the handshake, in a way, also took away the president from certain lines or certain pressures that he had endured during the first term of Jubilee.
Yeah.
And that is why in terms of performance, and I think the president had been clawed. He was in an uncomfortable governing position during his first term. And I think the handshake was that reality that needed to be. Raila Odinga's partnership with His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta has seen a lot of progress, not just within the socio-political arena, but we have seen a lot of growth, even in terms of governance, in terms of inclusivity. We have seen inclusivity during the second term of His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta's term. And therefore the handshake has achieved a lot for this country. Let me also say this. Even birthing the BBI was all about the handshake and achieving those gains or bringing to fruition those gains that were intended under the Constitution of Kenya 2010. And I think that let us just be forthright that it is because the president desires to achieve what he has commenced, because the president has a scorecard on the future leaders of this country, that he has spoken to a succession by Raila Amolo Odinga so that some of those projects can be completed. Remember, we've gone through the BBI. We have the legalese over the BBI, the High Court, Court of Appeal, and now we are waiting for a decision of the Supreme Court. The BBI dream is not lost. The president, I'm sure, believes that you'd best nurture some of the intended gains through this process with the Raila presidency. I think that is not in doubt. Lastly, you spoke about whether it was appropriate or inappropriate for His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta to speak to the Jubilee members at Sagana in mother tongue. I think he was reaching out to beyond the individuals at Sagana. He was reaching more to the Kikuyu nation by speaking directly in mother tongue and addressing that person within the villages in Sagana and Mount Kenya on the succession question. Because often that small person may not speak in the English or Kiswahili lingua. And that is why he needed to go down and speak in mother. There's nothing wrong with our mother tongues, in my view, and national languages. You know, if you are a good citizen of this country, you should be able to communicate in other tongues. You should be able to understand Kikuyu, understand Luo. Personally, I understand Kalenjin, I understand Kamba, I understand Luya. And you must, because this is a mode of communication. We speak to each other. And whenever the president speaks, we should see the language that he speaks. And he was not ranting, for the record. He was not ranting. He was simply speaking his mind to a people and giving them direction.
Dr. Kidero, was this handshake just politics of succession? Because there are those who've said, especially from the Kenya Kwanza team, that the president is still trying to further his tenure by having someone he can control. In fact, they've called him a remote control puppet.
Trevor, I mean, I look at this from three perspectives. I want to go back on ranting. the president was not ranting.
Okay.
Unless Mheshimiwa wants us to go and start defining what ranting means and how it started in the 16th century and how Shakespeare defined it. Yeah. But we will not go to that. The president was in a very jovial mood. Actually, what the president was doing yesterday, it's enshrined in our constitution, public participation. Yeah. Basically, the president was bringing people up to speed on why, in his own capacity as an individual and as the president, as the person who's been stewarding this country for the last 10 years, why he thought that his deputy is not the best person to take the reins of this country going into the future. And he has a right as a Kenyan citizen, and also he has a right as the leader. And as I said before, he was fulfilling Socrates' idiom or ideology that you must let people know so that they can make informed choices. When the president arrived yesterday at 12:30, I watched him. His first statement was, "We are here because we love peace." Yeah. And Handshake came about as a result of us wanting peace in Kenya. And you'll recall that his statement, His Excellency, the President's statement and Raila's statement said, "Never again shall we lose lives in this country because of politics." If we go back into history, I think, maybe we have selective amnesia, or we remember things selectively. In 1992, after the repeal of Section 2A, and we were having the multi-party elections, yeah, you'll recall that people died. People were importing bows and arrows. And we know the people who imported those bows and arrows. And people were being saved in certain parts of Rift Valley. And when people were traveling, people were killed. The same happened in 1997. Same happened in 2007. And last week I was in Kindu Bay, near Nyakwere, and I met one of the old men who talked very sadly. Mr. Ndege lost 11 family members in Naivasha who were burnt. And I think that if somebody can not appreciate what the president and the prime minister were doing by creating instruments and starting discussions that will ensure that we never have what Ndege and many more went through. We know, the people got burnt in church. We know people who lost their lives. We know people who became refugees, yeah, in their own countries. And I think, anybody who doesn't think that that's a good thing, then they're not being honest. I think what the president did, yeah, with Raila the Prime Minister Raila Odinga, is something that should be lauded. Actually, I think the two should be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize.
All right.
That is the best joke of the day. Maybe quick things before we proceed. Yeah. I know we are coming to track record.
Yes.
One, I've said before in this show that Professor Tom Agenda is my lecturer. But nowadays, since he started becoming a politician, he has been mischievously avoiding to say the truth. When you talk about inclusivity, he knows better than all of us because he has practiced law longer than myself. That when you talk about inclusivity, it is in the Constitution. They say it's about regional balance, tribe arithmetics. So when he says because of Handshake, the government was inclusive, he is accusing the president of running a government that was not inclusive, and therefore it was an unconstitutional government. Number two, he has said because of Handshake, both my brothers here, is that Big Four agenda was for the sake of Big Four agenda. As far as I know, Big Four agenda has told It has never left the shelves of State House. Issues, for example, let me just say one about the agenda. One of them is food insecurity. Because this planting season, we are buying 1 CAN and DAP, not the DAP that people know, at 6,800, up from 2,500, because the national subsidy program was removed for farmers. So, and this was one of the big four agenda out of the housing, industrialization, food security. But now my brothers are telling the nation here that in a national television that, you know, Handshake assisted in big four agenda. We are yet to see anything about the big four agenda. Another fallacy, and finally, is in the politics of endorsement. Uhuru is a victim of political endorsement. In 2002, President Moi did endorse him. He failed. In 2012, the people around Mwai Kibaki tried to form a party and tried through the private secretary and tried to probe somebody to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta. It flopped. Anywhere where politics of endorsement has tried to work. And I've heard people saying, you know, Raila is not a project. Yes, he was not a project before, but now he is. You know why? Because the state has made him a project. The way Raila operates now, the things he's enjoying, even how security is being provided, how the campaigns are being run, and you know, we have had even allegations where he's forcing governors, and maybe we'll ask Governor Evans Kidero to say, because he's just the former governor of Nairobi, and somebody, a friend of him, has sent greetings, is that he should be able to tell the nation and the allegations that Raila Odinga has been forcing governors to finance his campaigns before and even now. Finally, on the issue of no one, and the deputy president has said this, I think you can even remove a clip. He has said, in fact, Raila Odinga has never made this statement, and we have challenged him to say that if he loses in a fair contest, he will accept the results. And number two, the deputy president says, there is no way anywhere, even when they joined hands with President Uhuru Kenyatta in Nakuru, that no Kenyan should lose their life or blood be spilled simply because of political contest. Okay. Those are two statements that William Ruto has made before. Yeah. But Raila Odinga, and maybe you can send, because these are close allies of him, to go and tell him to make to the nation two statements. That if he loses an election, which he should, he should accept defeat. Number two, he should tell the nation that they will know Kenyan will lose the property, lives or blood because of an account of politics. Therefore, my bottom comment on that is that what we should be arguing is to have an electoral integrity process, an electoral just process. And I agree with them when they were on the streets in 2017. They were saying we want electoral justice. I think if we have a proper electoral process that is transparent, that is variable, that is fair, if we have, if I lose, if he loses, all of us are running for offices. If we lose in a fair manner, then we should be able to say this system was a system of integrity. Okay. And finally, on the track record, or we'll come to that.
We're coming to the track record finally. But for the record, I did speak to Raila myself in 3 different languages in an interview with the Ramogi TV, Citizen TV, and Citizen Nipashe, and he did say that if he loses, he will accept as long as he loses.
But you know, I don't listen properly. To law.
But it was done in 3 different languages. It was done in 3 different languages. But Dr. Kidero, there's something that has come up here that I think needs to have a response. Are there times when governors like yourselves were held ransom, that you have to give certain money to certain people at any given point? Because this is something that has been said on TV, so the record has to be set straight here.
Absolutely not. You know that the financial system within government and in counties is run via the finance management, the Public Finance Management Act. Yeah. And I think, I mean, it is, I think it's being cheeky. To say that the Prime Minister was forcing anybody to make contributions. At least I never had that experience when I was governor of Nairobi, and probably in terms of allocation, Nairobi had the highest amount. But allow me just to go back to BBI. Because we know that this country has changed greatly since 2013, when the counties were formed. I mean, you go to the counties and you can see it's palpable. Development is palpable. You can actually see that something is happening. In furtherance of Article 203, which says there will be equitable distribution, and then Section 187 of the Public Finance Act that forms IBEC, where the Vice President is the chairman. We always had a fight with the Vice President in that, I mean, rather than assist and ensure and work with us to make sure we get the minimum 15% that is prescribed in Article 203. That did not happen. And the reason why Kenyans were excited with BBI, and for a number of reasons, but one of them, and especially for us governors, to ensure that at no time have the counties ever gotten 15%. I think the highest they've got is about 10, 11%. But here we are going above 30%, 40%. And that is something that is going to extremely change this country. Change it more than this, is it bottoms down thing we are talking about, which was Flavor Centro's theory, which hasn't even worked for him in Virginia, where he came up with it.
For clarity purposes, Dr. Kidero, you're saying IBEC is chaired by the Deputy President. You're saying when you're governor, at every given point, there was a fight to allocate money.
Absolutely, and at no time did we ever get more than 11%. I think the highest we ever got was 11%.
So then you're saying that the Deputy President had an issue with devolution. Is that what you're saying in a nutshell? Because he
never supported devolution, and I think even going forward, I don't think he will be committed to devolution.
Okay. I'd like to get a response before I bring in the Professor Jen on this.
You know, some of
making
us,
very wild allegations across the table.
He's no longer the governor of Nairobi. Maybe he's not aware. As we are aware, there are governors who have confessed, even in private. The reason even some of them support Raila Odinga is because some of them have even, whenever a meeting happens like yesterday, they were being called that if you don't appear where Raila Odinga is or Uhuru Kenyatta is, your file is ready with this year. We are aware of governors. Personally, I've sat in CPIC before. We are aware of governors who their files, they should be behind bars, but because they enjoy the laundry services of the Baba man, then you can't see them being prosecuted because they simply. Secondly, it is fallacious because he knows the law, and my brother here is a practitioner of law. The governor saying that at least 15%, you know, those are constitutional requirements. So the question, if the violation of the Constitution was being violated, then the Council of Governors, which he was a member of, should have moved to court to challenge that. Because even if the Deputy President sits an IBEC, it is the same President Uhuru Kenyatta yesterday said, since he took over from 2013 to now, he has ensured that there is more resources that is devolved. I was a champion in the Senate during the division of revenue. 1 man, 1 vote, 1 shilling. And you remember how it went. We adopted win-win situation where counties were getting additional funding, including Nandi for the first time got additional funding of 1.6 billion, up from 5.3 billion, which is 6.9 billion. That was factored in 2022-2023. I think also Homa Bay did get it. I think Kisumu did get it. But the bottom line is that the allocations that has been given to counties, as always, in fact, is beyond at least 15%. And this is because the Deputy President has already made sure that the proposals that are given in IBEC are transmitted to His Excellency the President and the government during the budgetary process. So it is the only problem we have with governors is they have done nothing on the grassroots. In fact, one of the bottlenecks in devolution is, in fact, there was a story we were being told in CPIC that a governor bought fingerlings and went and threw in the river somewhere in eastern part of the country, and that was it. Even you had a governor who stole a generator from the county government. So what we are saying in short is that the money that has been allocated to counties, does it reflect with the performance?
Okay.
Just like where it comes from Homa Bay, just like the way it comes from Kisumu, is it because of political patronage that you can't see the difference? Okay. But I want to assure you, because by the way, bottom-up economic model is not bottoms-up. I think maybe you have in the village campaigning so much until you have lost touch of what is happening. Bottom-up means devolution in short. It means making sure that we work on the rural economy. And it is good, I can see you're always on the village. I've been following, is that those people that you engage daily, those people want less than $1 per day. Yeah. That is what we allocate. And one of the examples we have given is that we will allocate 50 billion that will be dispersed to the ward level so that the mamambogas, the border guys can borrow at that level and be able to what we call SMEs and startups. So you should, in fact, your campaign agenda should be selling bottom up to Homa Bay, where now you should be looking at the money that is given to Homa Bay should go to the lowest level of the village level. Okay. And that is what we mean by bottom up.
Okay.
And it will work miracles.
Yeah, Prof.
Trevor, so much about bottom and bottom.